Hi guys, please subscribe to this channel and like the video to support my project, and we are starting a new adventure. Today we'll show you museum of Lesya Ukrainka in Kyiv, famous Ukrainian writer, poet and translator. Hope it will be interesting, so stay with me. Real name of Lesya Ukrainka was Lesya Petrivna Kosach. The Museum of Lesya Ukrainka in Kyiv is located at 97 Saksaghanskoho Street. Previously, this street was called Marininska-Blagoveshchenska. It's a two-storied building, and we start our visit from the second floor. There is a literature exposition. There you can learn about the life and creative path of Lesya and her family. About how she created her works, you can also see manuscripts and drafts, rare books, writing tools, and other items that Lesya used during her lifetime. Lesya was born into Ukrainian noble family, Petro Antonovich Kosach and Olga Petrivna Dragomanova Kosach. Lesya's father was a lawyer by profession. He worked for most of his life in the Volhynian province in institutions for the affairs of peasants. Lesya's uncle, her mother's brother, Mikhail Dragomanov, was a graduate of the Imperial University of St. Vladimir. He was a historian, philosopher, scholar. A pedagogical university in Kyiv is named after him. Lesya was born in 1871. In 1880, she developed a sign of chronic illness that could not be identified for a long time. It turned out that this is a very unpleasant form of bone tuberculosis, coccitis. On October 1883, Lesya underwent the surgery on the affected bones of her left arm, but it soon became clear that the bones of her right leg were also affected. In 1899, when she underwent a successful operation in Berlin, and when she had recovered from it, Lesya finally was able to walk. Poems Lesya began to write as a child. When she was 13, she had already published two poetry. Lesya spoke fluent Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, Bulgarian, German, French, and Italian, wrote her works in Ukrainian, Russian, French, and German, translated from ancient Greek, German, English, French, Italian, and Polish. She knew Latin well, and she started to learn Spanish during her stay in Egypt. Actually, she spent much time in Egypt in order to improve her health. The main theme of Lesya Ukrainka works is the national liberation struggle of the Ukrainian people. Lesya Ukrainka was interested in Ukrainian folklore all her life. She knew a lot of folk songs. Many of her works are also related to Ukrainian folklore. Starting from the end of 1907, Lesya had signs of kidney tuberculosis. She died in Georgia in 1913. Her kidney failed. She was only 43 years old. Lesya Ukrainka wrote poems all her life. She wrote her first poem when she was only 8 years old, and her last poem at the age of 40. In total, she wrote about 270 poems, not including dramatic works. The first collection of her poems, On the Wings of Songs, was printed in Lviv in 1893. It includes 69 poems from the early period of her work before 1892 and 3 long poems. The second collection, Thoughts and Dreams, was also printed in Lviv in 1899. It includes 50 poems from 1893 to 1899 and 2 long poems. The third collection, Reviews, was printed in Chernivtsi in 1902. It includes 30 poems from 1900 to 1902 and 1 dramatic poem. Lesya Ukrainka mastered both poetic and prose languages. One of her most famous works is the poem The Forest Song. There is a lot of Ukrainian folklore in this work, and I really advise you to read this poem. The link to the English translation of The Forest Song will be below this video. In the forest song, Lesya Ukrainka combined fantasy with the reality, everyday life with bright poetic dreams. It is interesting that all the non-fairy tale heroes were taken directly from life, drawn from those people whom Lesya knew well, and the depicted fairy tale heroes as they were created by human fantasy. The setting of the poem is a dense prehistoric forest in Volyn. In the middle of the forest is a spacious meadow with a weeping birch and a large winged oak. The Pacific Forest Lake is surrounded by thick reeds and cattails covered with watercress and water lilies. It's early spring and nature is still sleeping, but everything feels like waiting for some kind of push, so that a miraculous awakening will take place. Here comes the voice of a pipe. The boy named Lukasz plays on it. The forest nymph Mavka wakes up and it seems to her that spring has never songs like this. The forester warned Mavka to avoid people because they only bring disaster. So when Lukasz is about to cut birch with a knife, Mavka stops him and asks him not to hurt his sister. Lukasz asks the girl who she is, and she calls the forest Mavka. Mavka and Lukasz fall in love with each other. Summer has come. A house was built on a forest clearing. Mavka and Lukasz are together, but the forest nymph cannot accept human life. It is difficult for her to adapt. Lukasz began to treat her rudely and she wants to return to her past life in the forest. A dream, phantom, comes to take her away. On a cloudy autumn night, the figure of Mavka hovers near the house of Lukasz. The forester comes out of the forest. He explains that he ordered Lukasz to be turned into a werewolf. But Mavka hopes to turn him into a man by the power of her love. Lukasz is afraid of Mavka and runs away from her. Lukasz already has a wife named Kalina, but they constantly quarrel. Mavka turns into a dry willow from which the Kalina's boy carves a pipe. The pipe speaks in Mavka's voice. How sweetly it plays, how deeply it cuts. Open my chest, take out my heart. The lost fate arrives, pointing to the pipe. Lukasz gave Mavka a soul, but took away her body. But she does not regret her body. Her love is now eternal. Lukasz starts playing. Mavka flashes with ancient beauty, and the man rushes to her, but she disappears. It starts snowing, and Lukasz freezes with a smile on his face. The forest song embodied the folk perception of the surrounding world, the ancient mythological thinking of Ukrainians, the problem of relations between man and nature, which are very often not harmonious. Man is used to treating nature as a tool that makes his life more convenient. Using natural gifts, a person does not notice his harmful actions. Mavka is the embodiment of not only the beauty and defensiveness of nature, but also the spiritual beauty of a person which cannot be destroyed in everyday pretty warriors. She is eternally reborn. Based on the works of the writer have been created more than 10 films, a cartoon, more than 20 plays, 4 radio plays, 5 radio books and 5 songs. For the 145th anniversary of Lesya Ukrainka's birthday, Google even created a festive doodle based on her legendary The Forest song. What's also interesting is that on March 2023 released on Ukrainian 3D cartoon based on the forest song and images of folk mythology. In 1 month, this cartoon set records for views not only in Ukraine but also around the world. Mavka, the fourth song, is now in the box office in more than 80 countries in different continents. Recently, the cartoon was presented in cinemas of Australia and New Zealand. Of course, it's impossible to tell all the story for 2 minutes, so to read whole poem, find the link on the English translation under the video. Lesya Ukrainka poem Contra, spero is one of the best not only in the works of the poetess but also in world literature. This is her life credo. Although this poetry is related to the personal circumstances of Lesya Ukrainka's life, her serious illness, it inspires readers, gives them strength and energy, the hope at any case. Link to the English translation of this poem is also under the video. The works of Lesya Ukrainka have been translated into 46 languages. Therefore, if you want to get to know more about her works and learn more about Ukrainian folklore, then with a high probability you will be able to find her works translated into your language. Now we moved to the first floor of the building. Here is a recreated apartment in which the writer family lived. In 1899, the Kosich family rented an apartment on the first floor of this building. It is in this apartment that we are now. The apartment consists of an entrance hall and 5 rooms: living room, dining room, parents' bedroom, Lesya's room, and her younger brother's room. It was always crowded here. Friends and business visitors who came to publish the magazines Native Land and Molada Ukraina, the Young Ukraine, the editorial office of which were located in the same apartment, since the editor-in-chief of these magazines was the mother of the poetess, Olga Petrivna Kosich, literature pseudonym Olena Pchilka. Here is reproduced the original interior. Archival documents, photos, letters, and memories of relatives of the poet served as a source for scientific reconstruction and restoration. Unfortunately, it's impossible to see all the exhibits of the museum now. Since there is a war now, the most valuable exhibits are in vaults. That's all for today. I thank you for your attention. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. And see you in the new interesting places.